What's up, guys? Welcome to the bar. Tonight, Glengoyne Teapot batch number 7. If you haven't heard yet, pretty cool story. We're gonna get into it. Check it out. What's up, guys?
Hey guys, it is Scotch for Dummies.
4 guys on a Scotch journey to help you with your next Scotch purchase. Guys, this is an awesome one tonight.
And this one you can still buy a little bit,
but you can't buy it in the States.
No. It might be hard to buy, but if you can find this one or come to the bar even.
You see the UK stamp.
Get yourself a mule to bring it home.
That's the best way to do it.
It is. Pretty interesting stuff, guys.
Teapot batch number 7 from Glengoyne. That's what we're talking about.
This is number 7. I mean, this is not the first one. There's a story behind it, right? We've talked about it before.
It's not our first one.
No, it's not the first one.
No, it's not.
So who's going to tell the story?
Well, I mean, it gets back to what you tell the story.
We should have a dram
let's
first
talk
and
about,
talk about this.
Over a glass.
All right. Glengoyne, so it was the 1850s?
1833.
No. When they started this practice. 1890s. It went on for a while. Anyway, they got a new distillery manager at Glengoyne. He noticed that there was some theft going on at the distillery of whiskey.
Wonder why.
If you can imagine that. And so his thought was, if I give these guys some whiskey, then they won't take the stuff that I don't want them to take. And so his thought was he could control the loss of it a little bit better if he was in charge of it. So he implemented a policy that 3 times a day, every worker in the distillery was allowed to have a 3-finger pour of whiskey that he would pick. Now, this was younger whiskey. It was still whiskey. It wasn't like new make or anything, but it was younger whiskey. So, I mean, over the course of a day, if you think about how much whiskey that is, it starts to add up to a lot.
That's quite a bit.
If you're supposed to be working.
Shawn, they don't have that.
Taking naps, too.
Moving 500-pound barrels and tons of grain and
well, it turns out
steam.
After you work at the distillery for a few years, you get used to drinking three-finger pours a day, right?
Roughly 6 ounces of whiskey.
So the older workers were a little more accustomed to it and could handle their whiskey a little bit better. So the younger, newer workers got in the habit of, they would drink some of their whiskey, and then whatever was left, they would pour in this old teapot that was in their break room.
On a windowsill.
On a windowsill, like, this is community whiskey. I'm not going to drink anymore. You can have my share. So that's the homage to this. So this practice went on until the 1970s, like 77.
Wow, that's a long time.
And when they finally were like, you know what, this might be an industrial accident waiting to happen. We should maybe calm down on the drinking on the job.
That's horrible.
You first go to 2-finger pours, then to 1-finger.
Violations.
But in honor of that practice that they had for, 80 years, they started coming out with the Teapot Dram. So it's a younger whiskey.
Sure.
It is a whiskey, obviously, but it's a younger one. They're saying 7 to 10 years,
6 to 8. I don't know. They're all over the board.
We've seen some variation, but somewhere in that range. So you're not looking at a 20-year-old whiskey. It is 10 Oloroso sherry casks. It is exclusively aged in these sherry casks, and there was like 3,993 bottles.
I think you got the number right.
In this particular batch.
And we've got a bottle.
What did I forget?
First fill Oloroso sherry. First fill European oak.
European oak Oloroso. We did have a bottle of the batch 6. We did get into that last year.
55.
So I don't think we have any of that to compare this to.
59.9.
One thing you forgot to mention, okay, so you just said 59.9, was the price point actually went up. A lot of people were upset this year with Glengoyne because last year and traditionally the price point was about 90 pounds.
90 pounds, yeah.
And this year it's 120 pounds. So that kind of sucks.
And that's a pretty steep jump.
It's a pretty big jump.
Especially for an NAS, some people are not happy and they're voicing their concerns, and rightly so. I mean, I'm not saying I'm pleased with the price, but I'm pretty
We'll talk about that on the live show because I've got an opinion on that,
marketing.
actually. And I mean, some of it is marketing.
Yeah,
but
I can smell that European oak.
Yeah, I mean, and the Oloroso is just thick.
That's deep, thick sherry.
59.9. This is going to burn your head off, probably. It's probably, I'm guessing neat is going to be too tight. There's going to be too much going on, and it's going to get lost.
Yeah,
One of the younger workers. Let me tell you what one of the older workers has to say about it.
We need to get a teapot to put on the bar.
But for the ABV though, it doesn't really burn the nose that bad.
I mean, it lets me know that it's there. I can tell you
there's
that.
a lot of flavor in that.
Oh yeah, he does.
Maybe my nose is old too.
So, big fan of Glengoyne. I think all four of us are big fans. Anybody that loves a sherry bomb loves Glengoyne. But the 21 and the 25 are both exquisite drams. Love them both. What else do they have in their core? I know they have a 10. That's an orange can. I'm trying to think
21, and they have.
Man, oh man.
The 21 and 25, have both made my top fives in the past.
For good reason.
Yeah, they're exquisite.
Sure
the 10 I'm not quite as thrilled with, but this is just on the nose. It's just powerful.
On the palate, the nose it's everything you love about a sherry bomb, right? I mean, it checks all the boxes on the nose.
Oh,
the flavor profile. I mean, it is hot. It's almost 60%, so you got to be ready for that. It is not for the new person on the block, right? If I poured this for the new guy at work and it was his first day, he may just go ahead and pour that all in the teapot.
Yeah.
But I get there's like some brown sugar notes in there. There's a lot of deep fruit notes in there. I got some sandalwood on the palate, which I thought was very interesting. It's got some nice like baking spices on the back end, some clove and nutmeg and things like that.
Yep.
Lots of clove on the nose.
Okay. Lots of spice in the finish. Definitely more powerful. First sip so far, very powerful. Cherries and fruits, dried figs.
Classic
cherries,
Oloroso.
dark chocolate raisins. I mean, just all kinds of stuff going on. I can't wait to let this open up for a little bit and put some water on it.
This is bottle number 934. I didn't realize that they actually numbered the bottles of 3993. So
straight to water, huh?
Bottle 934. I tell you what, man, it's definitely strong up front.
Yeah, I think it's going
to
to be so much better. That's why I tasted it neat. It does have rich flavors. It feels tight. There's a lot going in there. The plums and the I'm not getting as much date as I am like dark cherries and things like that.
So
I'll give you that.
On the nose, I don't know how to express why I feel this way, why I smell but having some older Glendronach Olorosos, some older Oloroso bottles that we've had, and I've got at home. Yes, this has the classic stamp of Oloroso on the nose. But it smells young. It really does not smell as old and musty, and it smells
got a
youthful.
Fire to it, because the whiskey's still fiery.
And
you know
it
what
has
I mean?
to be.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm thinking it's almost over oaked. It's right on the edge of having too much oak in it for me right now. So that's why I'm surprised that it's a young whiskey, because I don't.
Well, you do get that vanilla note in there.
First fill barrels.
It's got if you really try to force that finish down a little bit, you get a kind of funk going on too. There's something.
There's a tanginess. Actually, with water on it, I get it a little more.
Really? I haven't tried it with water yet.
And I almost think that it's that oak that Andrew's talking about. It's like a tannic quality.
And that is more potent with water.
Yeah.
I'd agree. I actually lost some of the sweetness in that.
I did as well.
And it goes more into the oakiness and the tannins and the dryiness.
Yes. Yep.
So obviously, non-chill filtered, natural color here.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're upfront about it.
Yeah.
It says, unchill filtered and cask strength, natural color from thyme and oak casks alone. Boom.
So I might hit it with water again.
That's not a bad idea.
Boy, that really needs to just settle for a few seconds.
I may need to top this one off.
That first, I put a little water in it at first, so we were probably still down into like mid-50s. I mean, it was still hot, and some of that tannic quality came out. I lost a little bit of the sweetness. I lost a little bit of the fruit.
Yeah. But again, sometimes that comes back.
But I didn't really gain anything. You know what I mean?
Correct.
I got some dark chocolate. It had like that bitter, like dark chocolate.
Oh, that bitterness is in there.
Yeah, that's exactly there. Interesting too. We talked about the ABV being so high. We just actually had a live. We'll put it right up there, but of how the ABV does affect flavor, and we kind of went through a big palette of that. And this is definitely a good example of how it's affecting it already.
that was an eye-opener for us because we have all turned into these high ABV heads, right? But we also learned on that you know, lowering it really opens up and brings some things
does.
a lot more than you want to admit to.
But so I don't know if you said or Andrew said it though. It's important though. It's like you're doubling up your whiskey if you think about it, because if you get something like this, you can bring it down and make it last twice as long.
Yeah.
Huh.
What you thinking?
Well, I got enough water on it now, I guess.
Oh, okay.
It's like brown sugar and cinnamon.
Oh my gosh, that's just what so I just added water too. Yeah, I get brown sugar. I don't know about the cinnamon yet, but
it's on the palate.
I don't have much left.
But it's nice. But it. All right, I think I'm ready. I'm good. I'm gonna go for this. All right. I'm not quite to a number yet, but we're gonna figure this out as we go, because this has all of the hallmarks of a sherry bomb, but it's also showing its youth. Neat.
Wow.
It smells like it's just got so much to give. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it feels.
So tight.
Andrew, you said it. Like it feels tight. You take a sip and you're like, I can get to some of it, but I know I'm missing some things. I'm gonna put some water on it, and we're gonna try and find our way to that perfect spot. And that first couple of drops, it brought out some dark chocolate notes that didn't really do it a good thing.
Yeah.
It was bitter a little bit on the tail end. It wasn't bad on the front and mid palate though. The nose was fine. And the nose is actually fine. You know, no matter how much water I put on it, it doesn't seem to kill the nose really. At this level, and I'm probably down into, let's call it mid 40s at this point. I've got some brown sugar and cinnamon notes, and they're really pleasant, and they pair up very well together. But that's kind of all I've got. I missed all that fruit that I got on the neat, and it's at this point it pairs pretty well. But I think if you overshoot it a little bit, you're going to end up with something that's a little different. So to me, this is showing that it's a younger whiskey. It's got a lot of things going for it, and I think that was kind of my thought on a lot of the teapot drams. Is they're good, and if you like to drink cask strength whiskey, it's good neat. I mean, it is. You can sip it slow, and it's tasty stuff. But I think once you start to add water, and you're going to want to add water because it's almost 60%, it doesn't have the depth of flavor that I would expect from an older whiskey that had time to mature and really develop those flavor profiles. You know, it's an expensive whiskey. It's hard to get. I think if you have an opportunity to get it and you're a Glengoyne fan, you should definitely pick up a bottle. But it's also, you know, I think there's some other stuff in their line that would be just as good to pick up. So I'm going to give it a solid, I'm somewhere between a 3 and a 3.5. I'm going to go with a solid 3. I don't know that I could go that much higher because it's lacking some depth when you start putting water on it, and I couldn't get to it neat. So,
all right. Wow, I gotta try not to miss anything that I've got stored up here, because while you were talking, some things happened, right? Some things happened to my dram. I made a couple of faces, rewinded, 2 minutes. You're like, oh, that's when it happened.
That's how you're just making faces at me.
You're right. When you find the right amount of water, something changes drastically. Because I watered it. Not so much. Water a little bit more. Went into it. Blows up, right? Yep. I mean, tons of vanilla, maple syrup, some tapioca, it may be something like that. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be, oh man. But right before I go to take a drink, I'm like, you know what I don't get? Any of that Oloroso. Where did my Oloroso note go? Are you still there? Take a drink of it, and sort of, maybe a little bit. Honestly, what really kind of pushed me back down the ladder was on the very late finish, I got like an oat flavor, and I'm like, I wonder where that's coming from. What was that? I don't expect that. It was spicy, but it was more of an ABV spice, neat, right? So it was really hot. There's just a lot going on. It is very youthful, and it does show its color when it comes to that. There's no doubt about that. Yes, it's tight, neat. You're absolutely right. I think it's cool because of what it is. It's a batch number 7. It's in a line. It's something that they do, and it's something worth interest in that. A little high price now that they jacked it up. But if you're a Glengoyne fan, you're going to have, you want to try it because it is what it is. I honestly, I'm going to give it a 2.5. I was stuck between a 2.5 and a 3 until I got that finish note that to me, I was like, where are you going? You're falling apart. If it would have held some of that Oloroso that it had neat with the water, I think I could have got it up to 3, but it didn't. It brought out all that oak when that oak came out in full force. But
that's a youthful whiskey.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
it's gonna bring out like some notes that are not great and some notes that are great, and it's a crapshoot what you're gonna get.
So I mean, I think this is a fun one to play with for somebody who wants to really see what a whiskey go through some drastic changes for good, bad, or indifferent. And maybe it's better for you than it is me. I'm not saying it's horrible here. I'm just saying I think it could have been better for what it is. So I'm going to stick with a 2.5, and I think that's pretty fair. I don't think I'm beating Glengoyne up at this at all. I mean, I'm going to enjoy it. Obviously, we've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're not going to finish.
Right? No. But 120 pounds, 90 much more realistic.
Yeah, I'd agree. This is a good. I enjoy this whiskey. I don't love this whiskey. And it has lots of good flavors. It has good, bitterness, dark chocolate, oak flavoring. Neat. It's got a little bit of fruit, a little bit of that dark fruits that I like. If you add just a touch of water, you can kind of find the spot where the alcohol burn comes down. You can still get that fruit. But if you bring it down to about 40%, which is what I got here, I'm afraid the sweetness goes away pretty completely. But you still have strong oak. You have bitter dark chocolate. You have those flavors that are still absolutely in there. Malt. I'm not sure if I get much malt in there anymore. You get a little bit, but so there's still potent flavor, but it's what do you like, and that's where you want to find it. So even watered down, it has a potency of flavor that is credible. So I would say it doesn't wash out, it doesn't dissolve. Oh boy, what do I prefer number? It's at least between a 2.5 and a 3 because it is rich. It is available to work with. It's available to play with. You're getting 50. You're getting a bottle and a half for the price of that. So
60%.
You can work with that. I'm probably going to go with probably a 2.5 because it doesn't really hit my wheelhouse really well. There's a tiny window in there that maybe ideal. We didn't find it tonight. Because I like more of those rich ruby fruits. And it's definitely not a peated whiskey, so you don't have any of that going on. It's just kind of where do you pull from the barrel and what is the Oloroso. And I am stunned that this is not old because of the amount of oakiness in it that's pulling out of that barrel. Maybe it's because it's first fill. But I'm going to be at a 2.5 because it's a good whiskey, an interesting whiskey, but just not great from what we've had on the bar in the past.
Okay. Wow, this is not easy to do. This is the hard one. I think, if he can do it, I guess I can do it. I agree with you. I also agree with you. You know what? I agree with him as well.
Not that bad.
I'm just going to say that and go whatever number, right?
Pick a number.
Here's the story. Here's the issue. I love this dram. It's good. This bottle's awesome. I love it. It's in my wheelhouse. I love the sweetness of it. However, it doesn't give me anything crazy complex-wise. It kind of stays in this sherry bomb stage. It doesn't really do much for me other than that. And the thing is, I'm trying to be true to also some other reviews in the past, thinking about what I've rated those and this. And the biggest issue I have here, one, is the price, and two, is not readily available, right? So those have to be, if it was something that you can buy, if this was $90, my score would change dramatically, I think. But it is 60 ABV, which is definitely a bonus point, and you can play with it, bring it down. But we all played with it, we brought it down, and it's still delicious. I love it, but it's not like I don't think it's worth all the money and the hype it's getting. So no. I'm going to go with the 2.5 as well on this one because I think that as much as I like it, enjoy it, it's just not. There are better choices out there, I think.
Okay.
So one thing to note, yes, you need to go to the distillery to get this, but now at this point in time, you can find this for sale on some of the online stores in Scotland. I can't think of which one I saw it on not too long, but I mean, You're talking.
You're going to pay some money for it.
Talking about a little bit higher than $1.20.
And we're talking about the price walking into the distillery and buying it.
Yeah, so
Right.
it's like 160 pounds online.
Yeah, plus shipping.
At least, right. And then you're paying 30, 40 pounds for shipping or whatever.
So now you're talking about a 200-pound bottle.
Nah.
That's pricey, man.
Well, I can get a 21 or a 25. Now you're starting to get into the 25-year-old Glengoyne where
No
hey, this
contest.
is fun and all, but give me that 25.
Marketing.
I just want to say, I think we all agree it's delicious. It is. It's a good bottle. I think what we're all trying to say is, based on how we do our reviews, that balance is not quite there.
Sure. Yep.
And I got to tell you, I overwatered just to see what would happen while you guys were going, and the nose was wonderful. I was getting pleasant palate
Flat. Yep.
Yeah.
See,
it's
not dead.
I
Maybe too
overwent.
much.
I went too much. I did. I mean, it is what it is.
Okay, guys.
So we got 3 2.5s, and I gave it a 3. If you like that, hit the buttons to like, subscribe,
Thumbs up.
get
Patreon.
notifications. Join us on Patreon, Discord, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Discord. Don't forget about Discord.
Man, if you
It's where
get
it's
on the
all
Discord server and join the chat, because there's a ton of people in there talking.
And if you're a patron, we do pre-shows and after parties just for you and all kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff. So
We'd
check it
love
out.
to catch you there.
Thanks,
Yep.
man.
Cheers, everybody.
Thanks.